the notices of disallowance does not presuppose guilt on the part of the Vice President. It is not tantamount to a prosecution. Kaya wag po natin itong gamitin, itong mga dokumento na ito, as if meron ng ginawang kamalian ang ating Vice Presidente. Dahil dito po,
The presentation of the Honorable former Senator, former Secretary of Justice, Congresswoman Laila, is that there's a first ground properly enumerated. So if possible, we can now comment on the presentation and also the ground number 1 of the complaint of the Father Saballa. I therefore request that we do that ground by ground. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The request of the Honorable Rodriguez is to open the deliberation immediately after her manifestation for the first ground of the impeachment complaint.
And for
Right?
Madam Chair, for each ground for that matter. I
For
think.
each ground. Yes. And you just concluded with the first ground.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. So, perhaps for continuity of the flow of our discussion, we will be abiding to the request of the Honorable Rodriguez that after the manifestation for the first ground, we will be opening the floor for deliberation on the first ground of impeachment of the third impeachment complaint. But before we proceed to that, let me read the first ground to summarize the discussions of the endorser. The first ground for the third impeachment complaint, Vice President Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayed the public trust by committing plunder and/or malversation, graft and corruption, and other high crimes in amassing and converting the amount of not less than 500 million pesos from the confidential funds allocated to the office of the Vice President for the years 2022 and 2023. With that, we are opening the floor for comments and manifestations of the Justice members.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Franz Legaspi is recognized.
Yeah, Madam Chair, just a very quick, short manifestation. But if we, since we're now going to go over this ground by ground, I'd just like to perhaps make the general manifestation that the Honorable Laila de Lima's recital of facts, she did conduct this recital of facts alleging the first ground of impeachment. So before we begin our discussions to the for this particular ground, I'd just like to say that on a procedural aspect, she has complied with the recital of facts as clearly seen in the presentation earlier, and want to commend her for the succinct, very organized way of presenting these, and I hope that this may serve as a guide for the rest of the committee members into the discussions today. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Right. Any other member who wish to make a manifestation with respect to the sufficiency in substance of the first ground as presented by the endorser, the Honorable De Lima?
Madam Chair.
Honorable Lord Ansuan.
Madam Chair, impeachment must remain a shield of the Constitution, not a sword of politics. The moment we lower its threshold for any reason, we weaken the very democracy we claim to defend. That is precisely why we must carefully examine the factual allegations and ensure that the constitutional standard is strictly met. In that spirit, and solely for the purpose of determining sufficiency in substance under our rules, may I respectfully request the Honorable Endorser to clarify on record what the specific pieces of evidence were referred and appended to the complaint which would support these allegations.
Honorable De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Although I wish to state first at the outset that in dealing with the issue on sufficiency in substance, we do not really inquire first into the evidence. But of course, in terms of really substantiating the essential grounds, the essential facts as pleaded, we can always check whether there are supporting evidence or annexes as submitted, as attached to the complaint, and later to be supplemented by other evidence in the proper time. And the proper time is during the evidentiary hearings. Kasi pagkatapos ko kasi ng pag-file ng answer, pag-file ng reply, pag-file ng rejoinder kung meron, pwede pa hong magdagdag ng mga ebidensya, including affidavits doon. So just to satisfy the gentleman that, yes, we have supporting documents, supporting evidence. The attachments consist of Annex A to Annex CC, or double C. And most of these are actually already, these are photocopies of the public records, electronic copies of which have been uploaded to the official website. I'm referring to Annex A. But to the others, the originals of this documentary evidence are the House's own records of files. So what we have are photocopies of certified true copies of those documents. These are the liquidation reports, the accomplishment reports of the OVP, the COA notices of disallowances, the OVP certification, the OVP accomplishment reports, letter to Chair Cordoba, mga documents evidencing payments, the photocopies of the documents evidencing payments, at doon nga yung mga nakikita rin yung mga fictitious names. So there are sample depths or documents evidencing payments, and then the audit observation of COA, other certifications of DepEd. No, we're not into DepEd yet. So we're under the first ground, the anomalous disbursement of the confidential funds allocated to the Office of the Vice President as the VP, as head of office. So meron po, dito po, nakalakip, naka-attached, most or many of those documentary evidence, pero ngayon, photocopies lang muna ang pinipresent dito o inattach dito sa ating complaint, sa third complaint. Kasi hindi naman po kailangan at this stage na magpresenta na ng photocopies. And if I must tell the Honorable Committee, meron na nga pong bagong rule sa ating rules of court na maski photocopies ay pwede, can be admitted, even if it's not the original, unless a genuine question is raised in the authenticity of the original, or under the circumstances it is unjust or inequitable to admit the duplicate in lieu of the original. Clear po yan sa sections 3 and 4 of Rule 130 as amended. The photocopies are attached, and these are photocopies that are admissible to the same extent as the originals. These are duplicates to the originals under the House's custody. So that is our position, na hindi kailangan unless authenticity is questioned at the proper time. And again, that would be at the evidentiary stage. But even that, handa po ang complainants to present yung certified true copies, which actually form part already of the records of this House.
In summary, Honorable De Lima, your attachments in support of the first ground include COA documents and the transcript of hearing of the House of Representatives.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Honorable Suwan?
Just to clarify, Madam Chair, may I ask the Honorable Endorser, in what manner these annexes, these affidavits, notices of disallowance, establish a clear nexus between the respondent and the alleged acts in such a manner as to possibly justify the advancement of this complaint beyond this committee?
Yes,
Honorable
I have
De Lima.
actually explained, Madam Chair, I have actually explained that earlier, that as the head of office, as the Vice President, the Office of the Vice President. She approves the disbursements, she approves the liquidation, she approves the accomplishment reports. So there is control on her part of the disbursements, and there is testimony to the effect that the instruction to give to various persons not contemplated within the object of confidential funds ay through the orders of the Vice President. So may pattern po of disbursement without verifiable documentation, documentary irregularities, and simulated liquidation. So under the principle of command responsibility, it is clear that she is the head of office. She approves those disbursements, and also in submitting the excuses under the accomplishment reports, which were found to be not valid by the COA on the audit findings of COA.
Just for the record, Honorable De Lima, when you made mention about approve, she approves the request, she approves the disbursement, does this mean as well that she is the signatory in all the necessary forms?
There are some that she is the signatory, but many also she's not the signatory. But that is supported the fact that it is within, or it was within her imprimatur, that those disbursements are made, those liquidation vouchers were approved, were actually testified on by the proper officials of the Office of the Vice President in the course of the previous House hearings.
May we confirm as well that in several documents that you attach or the complainants attach to the impeachment complaint, will this bear at least the signature of the Vice President?
Some of them.
All
But
right.
some of the aspects are taken care of by the testimonies of the responsible officials also of the Office of the Vice President, because the Vice President herself is the ultimate responsible officer in the disbursement of and the use of these confidential funds.
Thank you. Any other more question? Any other member who wish to manifest on the first ground of impeachment of the third impeachment complaint? The Honorable Suntay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, sa ating mga kasamahan dito sa komite, bago tayo pumasok sa substance ng complaint number 3, mahalagang balikan muna natin ang tungkulin natin sa ilalim ng rules of impeachment. Ang mandato ng committee ito ay simple, ngunit mabigat. Tiyakin na ang bawat impeachment complaint na dinala sa kapulungan ay pumasa sa pamantayan ng batas. Kaya ang panawagan ko sa bawat miyembro ay pairali natin ang parehong antas ng pagsusuri na inaasahan sa anumang legal proceedings. Maingat, patas at walang kinikilingan. Ang tanong sa harap natin ngayon ay hindi kung political controversy, kundi kung ang complaint ba ay naglalaman ng ultimate facts. Na kung ipagpapalagay na totoo, ay bumubuo ng impeachable offense sa ilalim ng Rule 3, Section 5. Mahalaga rin tandaan natin na meron na tayong established standards ang committee ito. Dahil ng ilang linggo lang na nakaraan, dumaan rin sa committee na ito yung impeachment complaint laban sa Pangulong Marcos. Mula sa mga naunang disposisyon ng impeachment complaints, malinaw na sinabi ng komite na ito na hindi sapat ang mga aligasyon na nakaantabay lamang sa administrative process, audit observation, o konklusyon na walang malinaw na factual particulars tulad ng unlawful acts, personal participation, o personal gain. Sa parehong pamantayan na iyon, dapat natin suriin ang complaint 3 and 4. Kung ang mga aligasyon ba ay tunay na naglalatag ng impeachable offense o kung ang mga ito ay naglalarawan lamang ng mga pangyayaring hindi pa naman napapatunayan na iligal na gawain. Ang diskusyon na ito na nais kong buksan ay nakatuon dito sa pamantayan na ito. Now, dadako na ako sa aligasyon. on complaint 3, naisaad na on August 22,
If I may interrupt, Honorable Suntay, we are deliberating on a per ground basis.
Yes.
We are only on the first ground.
I'm on the first ground, Madam
Thank you.
Chair. It was just an opening statement. On August 22, 2022, as alleged, VP Sara requested an additional amount of 250 million for confidential funds, as was stated by the Honorable Congresswoman Laila De Lima. The allegation establishes only that the respondent requested confidential funds. Requesting funds is part of the budget execution process and is not illegal per se. The complaint does not allege that the request violated any law or constitutional prohibition. Thus, no impeachable offense was pleaded. On paragraph 24, it stated only 125 million was approved for release for the office. But the signing alone constitute an impeachable offense? Signing of a disbursement voucher is a ministerial or administrative act necessary for fund release. The complaint does not allege that the voucher was falsified or illegal. Therefore, the paragraph does not plead any unlawful overt act. On paragraph 27, the cash was placed into 4 traveling bags. VP Sara was, as alleged, even assuming that the instructions was given, the allegation describes operational handling of confidential funds. Dahil ang disbursement ng confidential funds, hindi naman cheque ang ini-issue sa mga confidential agent. Naturally, you would need cash to disburse for to be distributed. At 4 p.m., as alleged on paragraph 28, December 20, Acosta gave, ito yung tungkol sa handling raw ng funds, Colonel La Chica gave the full amount of 125 million. The paragraph describes a transfer between subordinates. No allegations is made that the respondent received the funds or personally benefited, which is very important, yung personal benefit. Handling of funds, the distribution should benefit someone. We are trying to impeach the Vice President. This distribution of money, of the confidential funds, ultimately benefited the Vice President. I read through all the entirety of the complaint, and there is no specific allegation that the money was indeed, that the money indeed went to the Vice President. On paragraph 37, using her subordinates and the VPSG, this is a conclusory allegation unsupported by factual details. The complaint does not specify the amount allegedly taken, the benefit obtained, the assets acquired. Under Rule 3, Section 5, conclusions do not constitute ultimate facts. The complaint further alleges that the Vice President disbursed the amount in 11 days. You know, we have to take note. The request from the Office of the Vice President was made on August 20, 2022. The funds were approved by the President and downloaded to the Office of the Vice President on December 20. 11 days before the end of the calendar year. So, but the question is, does rapid disbursement alone constitute an impeachable offense? Does it establish illegality? Confidential funds may be disbursed quickly due to operational requirements. The complaint fails to show the unlawful diversion. Saan ba ginamit yung confidential funds? COA issued, it is true that COA issued its first audit observation memorandum. But an audit observation memorandum is a preliminary audit finding, requesting clarification. It does not establish liability nor show that respondents personally falsified documents. it was also alleged that COA issued a notice of disallowance on August 8, 2024 for items totaling 73 million. But a notice of disallowance establishes potential administrative liability subject to appeal. It does not automatically establish criminal conduct or an impeachable offense. Now, ang kailangan natin malaman, is there a final audit observation issued by the COA? O wala? Because I was going through the complaint, there was no mention of a final audit observation. If there was, then it was not contained in the complaint. So, Madam Chairman, with regards to the first allegation, on my part, these are my observations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Since I observe that we are beginning to become passionately engaged in our deliberation, I am reminding the justice members to limit the manifestation into 5 minutes. And the committee secretariat are requested to be observant on the allowable time given to each member. May we ask the endorser to comment, to respond to the observations of the Honorable Suntay.
Madam Chair, may I request that he will hear first all the observations so that he will have an entire response.
If for the sake of continuity of the flow
I
of
have
thoughts,
also my
same observation?
I have different observations.
Yes, let us hear
Okay.
first the comment of the endorser to the observation of Honorable Suntay, and then we will be calling you Honorable Rodriguez. Honorable De Lima?
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, the VP herself is the ultimate responsible officer or accountable officer of all these expenses or all these disbursements and spending of the confidential funds. Malinaw po na sinaad sa paragraphs 149, 151, and 153 that VP Sara was the accountable officer for over 500 million and that no disbursement could occur without her approval. And it was also further alleged that she directed the preparation, encashment, and delivery of 125 million. Meron hong testimonya na sinasabi na yung mga yon, yung mga funds na yon ay hindi naman talaga nagamit dun sa mga dapat ipaggamit ng confidential funds. And then kanina po, yung sinabi po ni Congressman Suntay, dun sa wala namang sinasabi doon na mali yung pagkakagamit ng mga confidential funds. May I direct the attention of the Honorable Committee, Annexes C, F, H, and I are certifications that says expenses were incurred with agencies, intel, and confidential operations. And based on the audit observation memoranda issued by the COA, ito ay hindi naman talaga na ginamit dun sa mga totoong purposes of the confidential and intel funds, but actually were wrongly disbursed to wrong persons and for the wrong purposes. Yung paggamit ng mga confidential funds na katulad ng ginagamit para sa safe houses, sa tables and chairs, sa laptops, nakasabi po yan lahat dito, at that is a misuse of confidential funds alongside yung pagtatakip rin. Kasi remember, when the committee then requested from COA any finding, any certification with respect to the spending of the OVP's funds, pinigilan pa nga ito ng kanyang chief of staff na wag gawin ng COA. This is a form of obstruction, and that is under her instructions. And clear po sa mga dokumento na ito na mali talaga yung paggamit ng mga confidential intel funds. Nakita natin yung mga acknowledgements receipts ng mga which appear to be questionable and fictitious names. These were approved by the Vice President herself. May pirma siya sa certain documents as attached. So I don't see the validity of the argument na walang proof na may kinalaman si VP sa paggastos ng mali ng confidential funds ng Office of the Vice President.
Thank you. Again, for purposes of an orderly deliberation, except for the manifestation which is tantamount to sponsorship with respect to the determination of sufficiency in substance, the questions and manifestations of the justice members are limited to 5 minutes. The answer of the endorser is limited as well to 5 minutes. If you wish to continue with your point of argument, you will be given your opportunity on the second round. That is in the interest of fairness and equality because the other members wishes to make their manifestation as well. So I will be calling the Honorable Rodriguez, and if there will be no more members aside from Kong Jokno, we will be going back to you, Honorable Suntay,
Reply.
after the first round. Honorable Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, distinguished colleagues, the respected endorsers. Let me just comment first on the prefatory statement. Yesterday, I really acknowledged the statement and the lyrics given by the Honorable De Lima on whatever you go to come here, get here, by train, by car, by plane, by boat. And that is the song, Get Here, by Oleta Adams. Thank you. But in the prefatory statement, it seems that the prefatory statement is from the man from La Mancha, the impossible dream. I like to ask, is the quest to impeach the Vice President an impossible dream?
Not at all.
Okay, so the prefatory statement should have been changed. There should be something more positive than negative. Otherwise, impossible dream is an impossible dream. But anyway, I go now, Madam Chair, to the grounds. We will methodically go into the grounds to try to go to trial against the Vice President. So, number one, the first ground is Vice President Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution. There is none. There's no direct. We cannot have a violation of general principles of state policies. There has to be a point, according to the Supreme Court, there has to be clear, specific provision that is directly violated by the impeachable official. There is none. There is no allegation on that. Next, and this is where there is what we have to discuss because there are many underlying grounds for betrayal of public trust. The first one, as stated in the complaint, is committing plunder. Madam Chair, plunder is under Republic Act 7080. You have to put in here all the elements of plunder, which are for misappropriation, conversion, misuse or malversation of public funds, receiving the commissions. He receives the money, the kickbacks, you see, illegal fraudulent conveyance of assets or taking advantage. All of these were not alleged in the complaint. So we take out plunder. Now, malversation. Malversation is governed, Madam Chair, by the law on Article 217 of the Revised Penal Code. So there are also requirements for malversation to support betrayal of public trust. And the elements here is that the offender is public officer and, as decided by the Supreme Court, she should be an accountable officer. The Vice President is not an accountable officer. Oh, who are the accountable officers? By definition, according to the Supreme Court, accountable officers are cashiers, treasurers, property officers, and the like. She is the Vice President. And so therefore, this malversation cannot prosper as stated directly. However, this is where it will be. However, there is allegation here that there is conspiracy. Ayan. The accountable officer, if there is conspiracy by the head of office, under the ruling of the Supreme Court, there may be malversation through conspiracy. And that is what they are going to therefore make as a support for committing betrayal of public trust. And then, graft and corruption. It is governed by Republic Act 3019, Article 3. So, paragraph 3, E, F. And there is also no clear allegation that because of his office, she gave due advantage or she received kickbacks. This is confidential funds. And so therefore, Madam Chair, we could not also say that there is graft and corruption. Secondly, and lastly, other high crimes very far from it. In this case, the allegation is that there is a misappropriation of 500 million in the OVP. 125 of that was 2022, 375 in 2000. Now, what is the status now of that particular finding by the COA? Madam Chair, the COA saw that there is lack of funds, lack of supporting documents, documentary evidence of payments. But there is no COA finding of corruption of the Vice President. This is just the lack of documentary evidence of payments to the respective beneficiaries. And then we also have, Madam Chair, in this case, graft and corruption is defined, the Supreme Court said it's about 3019. So in this case, there is no, when did the Vice President receive the money? Where was it deposited? So, therefore, receiving these gifts or kickbacks under the 3019.
If I may interrupt, Honorable Rodriguez, you are more than 5
I'm
minutes,
just going
so
to wind
kindly
up,
wrap
Madam
up.
Chair. I'm just going to wind up. And then other high crimes, it is far from other high crimes. So therefore, Madam Chair, these are my observations, and we are going to say, and I'm going to state here, that as far as betrayal of public trust, there is a recital of facts sufficient.
Yes.
Substance in substance. To go to trial. The particular case here, there was observation, audit observation, and there was notice of disallowance. That's correct. But then the Vice President has appealed this to the Commission on Audit. As to allegations found by our committees on various matters, these are to be explained in the trial.
Yes.
And so therefore, I find that the first ground, there is substance in substance of this form. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable De Lima, your comment?
I absolutely agree with the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez with respect to his summation that these are constitutive of betrayal of public trust. Now, it's not an argument that the other grounds, culpable violation of the Constitution, graft and corruption, and yes, the culpable violation of the Constitution and graft and corruption do not plead, or there's no corresponding allegations with respect to them. Because when we talk about culpable violation of the public of the Constitution, we are centered on the principle of public office is a public trust. And therefore, if there's a betrayal of public trust, that is a culpable violation of the Constitution. Saka yung gusto ko rin pong sabihin for the record, yung mga sinasabi na she's not really accountable. The real accountable officers are the disbursement officers and the other members, for example, of the finance department of the Office of the Vice President. But I maintain my position that she is the ultimate responsible officer. And in fact, I just got a list of the annexes where nandyan yung mga signature ni VP Sara, annexes C, D, D-1, F, G, H, H-1, I-1, Q, R, R-1, R-2, S, S-1, S-2, T, and V3, V-3. Those documents attached to the complaint, and these are certified, and these are photocopies of the original, are there showing the participation, the knowledge of VP Sara. Now, there is a testimony, again, as I mentioned earlier, that there's disbursement that are highly questionable and illegal. These are also meant for persons not within the contemplation of the spending or expenditure of the confidential and intelligence funds of any office. So betrayal of public trust, I agree, this is the strongest ground that encompasses all of the other allegations subsumed in this ground number 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable De Lima. Now we recognize the Honorable Chel Jokno.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Pursuing that same point, Representative De Lima, I noticed that with respect to the 125 million that was spent from December 21 up to December 31, 2022, there were 2 documents that were signed directly by the Vice President. One is a liquidation report attached as Annex B to the complaint. And the certification, the signature of the Vice President appears below the words certified, purpose of cash advance duly accomplished. And I believe that I would like to hear from the endorser the significance of that, because to me, that is not only an issue of command responsibility, that is a direct certification made by the Vice President that the cash advances of 125 million, which were spent only in a period of 10 days, the purpose was duly accomplished. Second, there is another annex, Annex C, which also bears the signature of the Vice President, a certification where it is stated that the expenses, again, the 125 million spent in December of 2022, those expenses were incurred in connection with the agency's intelligence and/or confidential operations and activities. And that document is signed, again, by the Vice President and under the word attested. So I would like to hear from the endorser what she thinks is the significance of these 2 documents signed directly by the Vice President. Thank you, Madam
Honorable
Chair.
De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It says full awareness, the certification, the attested, well, correct. That is more than just command responsibility, but is in fact direct knowledge with direct information as to the contents of the certification, that these are used for certain supposedly lawful purposes, but they turned out to be not so in accordance with the audit, with the COA audit memoranda. The findings also that came out during the hearings before the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability. So this is personal and direct knowledge and supporting the veracity, establishing supposedly the veracity of the contents, again, of the certification. So she perfectly knows that what were included in the certifications turned out to be not the legal purposes for confidential funds.
Just for the record, Honorable De Lima, kindly restate the content of the certification.
Annexes.
Just to form part of the transcript of records.
Annex C.
Just the content of the certification.
Yes, Madam Chair. We hereby certify that the amount of 125 million pesos was incurred by the undersigned in connection with safe implementation of OVP initiatives and confidence building from the cash advance drawn on December 20, 2022 in the total amount of 125 million. We further certify that A, the certifying officer or employee is accountable for the disbursement from the cash advances of CF and/or IF. B, the expenses were incurred in connection with the agency's intelligence and/or confidential operations and activities, with supporting documents attached to the liquidation of CF, and for the IF, documentary evidence of payments kept in sealed envelope in the vault in the office of the SDO. C, the details and supporting documents of transactions that are classified are in the custody of the agency and kept in the vault, which may be inspected by IFCAU if the circumstances so demand. D, the funds are not used for payment of salaries and wages, overtime, additional compensation, allowance, or other fringe benefits of officials and employees, representation, entertainment expenses, consultancy fees, and construction or acquisition of buildings or housing structures. E, the purchase of equipment is relevant to the confidential and/or intelligence activities, and the expenses are necessary and utilized for legal purposes. Signed, Special Disbursing Officer Gina Acosta, attested Sara Duterte, Vice President. So he's fully aware, she attested to the fact that there were such expenses, but it turned out that many of them were not really meant for the supposed legal purposes, objectives of intelligence and confidential funds, as it turned out during those hearings, based also on certain testimonies from the disbursing officer and other officials, accountable officials of the office of the Vice President. That's
Thank
just an
you.
example. That's just a sample of a certification signed or attested by the VP herself.
That is an actual certification.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes. Of the various expenditures,
Various expenditures, there are several.
which means that there are similar certifications supporting other expenditures.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable Chua is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, let us assuming tama po yung sinasabi ni Congressman Bong Suntay na tama po siya kanina. Ito nga pong mga pondo, kung paano po tinransfer sa OBP. Talaga naman pong doon po, wala naman tayo nakikita talagang pagkakamali pa. And in fact, trabaho po to ng Vice President as head of agency, mag-disburse, tama po ba? Lahat po ng mga dokumento po, mirma kung ano po dapat niyang pirmahan. Tama po naman po yun. Subalit po, kung titignan po natin, dito po sa paragraph 27, sabi po dito, the cash was placed into 4 traveling bags and brought to the OBP on the same day. Thereafter, BP Sara instructed Acosta to release the 125 million pesos to Colonel La Chica. At dito po, sabi po dito, Acosta, pursuant to VP's instruction, personally gave Colonel La Chica the full amount of 125 million pesos. Now, my question is, ang SDO po ay si Acosta. Ano po ang papel ni Colonel La Chica dito po sa 125? And that is upon the instruction of the Vice President. Dito po ba, wala po tayong nakikitang diferensya? Now, if I remember it correctly, during the committee hearing, marami po nagtanong, after La Chica, ano na? Yun, dito po natin makikita ngayon, papasok yung statement ni Madriaga. The affidavit of Ramil Madriaga, which was attached as Annex A of this complaint affidavit, or dito po sa impeachment complaint, which can be found on page 13. At dito po sa statement ni Ramil Madriaga, sinabi po niya, and I quote, makikita po dito yung conversation sa page 29, sa paragraph 29, 30, 31, 32. Sabi po dito, Colonel Dennis Nolasco sent a certain Ramil Madriaga a text message instructing him to see the former. So Madriaga went to see Colonel Nelasco at Ultra Pasig City. He arrived at the place around 1:30 p.m. Next, they waited for Colonel Lachica. Ito na po si Colonel Lachica. In two DepEd vehicles that ultimately arrived past 3 p.m. Upon arriving, Colonel Lachica brought 4 duffel bags containing millions of peso. So ito na po yung duffel bags na winidraw po nila sa Land Bank at binibigay ngayon kay Madriaga. In particular, paragraph 32, Colonel Lachica instructed Madriaga to deliver a duffel bag to a mayor in Laguna. Hindi ko po alam kung yung mayor po may kinalaman sa intelligence gathering. So Madriaga delivered it to a certain individual at Cabuyao, Laguna. Then he was told by Colonel Lachica to deliver another duffel bag to a comedy bar owned and frequented by San Sebastian Law alumni located in the Timog area. Paragraph 33. When Madriaga arrived at the place, he saw OBP spokesperson Raymond Monsayak. Parenthetically, Monsayak was BP Sara's classmate. Subsequently, Monsayak signaled Madriaga to go upstairs and leave the money at the office. He followed suit and left. Monsayak did not speak to him. Paragraph 34 says, next, Madriaga drove a car to the parking compound of the office of the Ombudsman. He also brought another duffel bag of money and placed it inside the car. When he arrived at the Ombudsman compound, a guard signaled for him to park in a specific reserved spot, and he did. He placed the keys on top of the left front wheel and left. He then saw someone retrieve the keys and drive the car away. Within the same period, Colonel Nolasco gave Madriaga a white Toyota Vios with money in the amount of around 80 million pesos. Following Colonel Nolasco's instruction, Madriaga drove the white Vios to a parking lot inside SM Mega Mall, parked and locked the car, placed the keys on top of the left front wheel, and moved away. He then waited for someone who retrieved the keys and drove off. On another day, Madriaga saw the same motor Vios driven by the wife of Ombudsman Prosecutor Ryan Ray Kilala, named Rhea, who was a classmate of BP Sara at San Sebastian Law. Now,
If I may interrupt, Honorable Chua, you are more than 5 minutes,
yes,
so
I will
kindly
wrap,
wind up.
I will already wrap up my statement. Madam Chair, dito po yung sinasabi kanina ni Congressman Rupos na conspiracy. So dito na po napunta yung sinasabi po ni Congressman na hinahanap po natin kanina yung 125 million with all the documents. Kaya po yung COA naglabas ng AOM, naglabas ng kung ano-ano mga pangalan na eventually nakita po natin yung mga pangalan ay hindi makita ngayon. So ito na po yung sagot sa tanong kung saan po napunta yung pera na binigay kay Lachica. Based po ito sa affidavit ni Madriaga, which is attached in this complaint. So therefore, there is a recital of facts which constitutes the offense charged. Thank you po.
You read the name of Nolasco and Lachica. Just for the record, Congressman Joel Chua, who are these personalities? Nolasco and Lachica. You read that from the affidavit.
They are both, I think, security details of the Vice President.
Nolasco and Lachica.
Yes.
Thank you. Would you like to comment, Honorable De Lima?
To add,
Yes.
yung mga ninarrate po na based on the complaint ni Honorable Congressman Chua, pinapakita po na yung 125 million na yun, hindi napunta sa dapat puntahan ng such sensitive funds as confidential or intelligence funds. We can actually say that this were simply appropriated by VP Sara for her personal gain. Kapag hindi napunta dun sa dapat puntahan, at sabi nga sa affidavit ni Ramil Madriaga, ay ito ay napunta sa iba-ibang tao na ano ba sila? Hindi naman sila part of anything. Wala namang sinabi, there was no report, neither the Vice President nor the OVP reported any loss of the 125 million confidential funds. Dahil nga, napunta sa mga ganyan. So that is actually personal gain for our own personal purposes, whatever it is. Bakit napunta dun sa mga personalidad na yon as testified to by Colonel Lachica and Colonel Nolasco, which are part of the Office of the Vice President Security detail. These are actually the head. Nolasco is the head, and also Lachica is, sila talaga yung mga supposedly pagkakatiwalaan ng Vice President. And so, it shows personal gain. Gusto ko lang pong sabihin at this point, na tungkol naman po sa plunder, yes, I agree that it's more of a conspiracy. So it's a better, it's a better theory than just plunder, because plunder committed through conspiracy. Let us remember po, na pang malversation of public funds, it's plunder committed through a series of acts of malversation. So a series of acts of malversation can lead to plunder, especially if it meets the monetary threshold of 50 million or more than 50 million. Thank you.
Any other member who wished to manifest on
Madam-
the first ground? The Honorable
Madam Chair.
Marcoleta.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madalas pong binabanggit yung notices of disallowance and audit observation memo. Para po sa akin, ito po ay mababaw na ground to constitute an impeachable offense. Unang-una po, ang notices of disallowance ay appealable, they are contestable. Yung pong audit observation memo is just a memo issued by the COA for deficiencies in documentation not involving pecuniary loss. Ang notices of disallowance po ay pwede pang i-appeal ng Office of the Vice President sa regional level ng COA, sa commission proper ng COA, at pwede pang humantong sa Supreme Court. The notices of disallowance does not presuppose guilt on the part of the Vice President. It is not tantamount to a prosecution. Kaya wag po natin itong gamitin, itong mga dokumento na ito, as if meron ng ginawang kamalian ang ating Vice Presidente. Dahil dito po pumapasok yung procedural due process kung ito pa'y accorded sa ating Vice Presidente. At isa pa po, yung pong mga ginawa ng Quadcom nung nakaraang taon, yung pong pagbubukas ng mga envelope, I don't think yan po ay kasama sa trabaho ng Kongreso. Dahil ang pag-audit po ay trabaho ng COA. Meron po tayong Latin legal maxim, potestas delegata non delegari. Delegated power should not be delegated further.
Reminded to confine the manifestation to the subject matter of the impeachment
Opo,
proceeding.
this is pertaining to the...
This is not
the
about
envelope.
Quadcom. This is the impeachment proceeding on the 2 complaints against the Vice President. Please stick to the subject matter of this impeachment proceeding.
But the envelope, yung opening of the envelopes, hindi po ba may kinalaman
If you have
ito?
concerns about the proceedings of Quadcom, perhaps you should address it in the other forums, but not in the impeachment proceedings. The Honorable Marcoleta is so reminded
Opo,
to stick to the subject matter.
yun lang naman po, Madam Chair, notices of disallowance. Ito po ay hindi mga dokumento lamang na ito ay appealable, contestable, at hindi ito nangangahulugan ng Vice Presidente ay may ginawa ng irregular dahil ito ay contestable. Yun lamang po ang aking obserbasyon. At ma'am, if I may react dun sa earlier remark made by the chair, I think I was alluded to. Kasi nagkaroon po ng spectacle kahapon.
The chair just adopted the